Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Second Cup of Coffee. Pastor Tom with you. We're on week 2 of our series entitled Sin. Like I said last week, it's not something we necessarily talk about all the time, but it's something that needs to be talked about. I want you to know that it's possible to get out of sin. I want you to know it's possible, like we talked about last week, to get my foot out of sin, to take it away from sin. And we talked about pondering my path or weighing the path that I'm on, because I want to be on the path of Isaiah 35:8, where God talks about having a highway of holiness that I can walk on. I love that it says in Isaiah 35:8 that the unclean shall not pass over it. That's not the part that I love. But it shall be for others, whoever walks the road, although a fool shall not go astray. I love this path because it says I'm not going to get lost, even though I may still be growing in some things and I may be a little bit foolish. I may be foolish and ignorant in some things, but I cannot be foolish and ignorant in sin. And I have to be fully aware of where I'm walking, and I need to ponder that like we talked about last week, weigh it out, because in Proverbs 5, verse 21, it says, "For the ways of man are before the eyes of the Lord, and he ponders all of his paths." God's pondering my path. Everything that I'm doing is in front of God. God sees it. Satan kind of tries to lie to us and tell us if you do it in the dark, God won't see it. That's not true. God sees everything. And it actually says in the Bible, what you do in the dark will come out in the light. It says further up in Proverbs 5 that I was on the verge of ruin in front of the whole assembly or the whole congregation. How do I get on the verge of ruin? I think that what I'm doing is in the dark, and I think it doesn't, that it won't be found, or I won't be caught. And Satan is pushing me closer and closer and closer to the edge of the congregation and push me to the verge so that I can be exposed, so that I'm embarrassed, I'm ashamed, and then the kingdom of God is embarrassed and ashamed. So my part is to weigh it, and my part is to know that God's weighing it. So what I may be able to lie to myself about as sin, I can't lie to God about. And I really need to have a conviction in my life and say, like David did in Psalms 139, "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there's any offensive way in me and lead me in the path everlasting." David was looking for that path. We're looking for that path. That path is laid out in Psalms 23. The path of righteousness is what it's called. It's laid out in Isaiah 35:8. It's possible to get it, but not if I'm walking in sin. And this is the key, verse 22. "His own iniquities entrap the wicked man, and he is caught in the cords of his sin." What does that mean, Pastor? It means if I have sin, I have to own it, because it puts the ownership on me in verse 22. His own iniquities, I have to own it. His sin, I have to own it. It's not my environment. It's not my circumstances, not the things that I've walked through. It's not things that like that. It is things that I have chosen, I entertain, and I let in my life. If you keep walking there, you will eventually come to a place where you're entrapped and you're wrapped in the cords of sin. That's not a place that you want to be. Next week, we'll talk about freedom from that. But this week, I want to encourage you. Last week, we talked about you pondering the path. This week, I want you to ponder with God the path that he sees and what he sees in your life, and pray the prayer of David. "Search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there's any offensive way in me, and lead me in the path everlasting." You may want to add another prayer in there from the Lord's Prayer. "Lead me not into temptation, but deliver me from evil." You start following out these prayers. You start walking with God. I'm not looking around every tree, under every rock, but I am going to go after the sin that I know that is in my life, because I want it removed so that I can clearly see the path of righteousness, the highway of holiness that he has for me. Because when I'm on there, I can't get lost. If this meant something to you, please share it. We appreciate however you find us. We love you, and we'll talk to you soon.